Hi, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. If it's your first time stopping by, hi, my name is Allie. Well, here on my channel, it is called Cinder Allie Loves Disney, and I absolutely love Disney, but I am trying to make this a little more of a lifestyle kind of channel. There's lots of Disney sprinkled in, but with a little bit of lifestyle. And today's vlog is going to be a book review of a non-Disney book. It's a Christmas book that I just read, and it was absolutely fabulous. So let me show you the cover really quick. It is called A Wish for Christmas by Courtney Cole. And just look at that scene right there. I mean, in the snow globe, that literally looks like a town from a Hallmark movie, right? Okay, so let me start by saying when I was shopping in the bookstore, I wanted some Christmas stories because I don't have the Hallmark channel right now. And although I can access different Christmas movies on various streaming platforms, nothing is like a Hallmark movie, right? So I was like kind of missing a Hallmark Christmas movie. I had to change the battery, but I had started saying that I was shopping for some Christmas type stories at the bookstore because I really missed not being able to watch a Hallmark Christmas movie. So I was kind of in the mood for the feels of those kind of movies. So books, movies on books, books about movies. You know what I mean. So I was, reading a couple different synopsis. I read through several books actually, and this particular book stood out to me. The story is so cool, and I love like time travel kind of books. This is a little bit similar to that, so I'm going to read the synopsis in a minute. But when I read this, I was like, I have to get this book. Okay, so while I'm holding this up, I'll have this paused so that you can follow along if you want to while I'm reading. So on the front it says, "A Wish for Christmas. What does your heart desire? A novel." The back says, 2 weeks till Christmas. Noelle is not in a great place. After several years of marriage, she and her husband Jonah are quietly drifting apart. The only time they really talk at all anymore is when they walk their dog, Elliot. And even then, it usually ends in bickering. When one snowy day, Elliot manages to slip his leash, they find him blocks away in the care of a mysterious old man who asks them to make a wish on a snow globe. Eager to get their dog safely home, they agree to this strange request. Neither one realizes that the wish they're about to make will change the course of their lives, possibly forever. When Noelle and Jonah wake up the next morning, they're in separate beds, separate apartments, separate lives. But are they any happier? As they live the existence they'd always wished for, both feel that something very important is missing. And when a chance encounter brings the pair back together, they find they have a spark of something very special. Will they be able to find their way back to each other before it's too late? Or does the Christmas magic have another fate in store? Okay, this book was amazing, fabulous. Now, I will say it started off a little confusing for me at first, and I don't want to give too much away. I know in these reviews, I usually kind of end up talking a lot about the book, so I am going to share some stuff. I'm going to try not to give too much of it away, but I will say the story, it starts off a little confusing, and it really goes into like the most amazing story, love story, there's like a message of humanity in there. I mean, there was so much. Like, I read this book so fast, and my husband was like, there's no way you like retain that story, that you read that book so fast. And I was like, yeah, I know exactly what happened. He sat down in this room, and I literally stood for about 5 minutes and gave him a full synopsis from beginning to end. And he was like, man, I can't believe that. And he's like, wow, you really did know that story. And that sounds like a really cool book. That I'm glad you're like reading, books that you enjoy reading. So it was kind of fun to be able to do that. But like I said, I like books that are kind of time travel-ish. And in this particular case, I'm going to give you a little bit more. Like on the book, it just says, oh, they're asked to make a wish on a snow globe. But I am going to give a little bit of a spoiler. So what happened is they are trying to get their dog back from this man who was watching it or found it. They're really just trying to hurry up and get back, get out of there and go back to, you know, their normalcy. But the wish they are told to make is that they cannot leave with their dog until they make a wish on a snow globe. What they don't realize is they literally both wished for the same thing. And that was, I don't know, I don't remember if they actually specifically tell you the wish, but basically their wish was to no longer have been married. And that's kind of why they wake up in completely separate existences. And the book kind of makes it seem like, oh, you know, they're in separate beds, they wake up. It's not like they don't know what's going on. It's like they have no knowledge of that prior life. So basically they're living in this current existence inside the snow globe kind of story, so to speak. And they do bump into each other and have this spark, but don't really know what it is. And eventually the fate kind of brings them together in a situation where they end up having to spend a length of time together. And that's like the majority of the story of this book. And then again, I'm trying not to give too much away, but I will say the gentleman in the beginning who makes them wish on the snow globe, he is in the book throughout the book. So it's not like that's just the end of his story. There's actually more to his story as well. I loved this book so much. I cannot say enough about it. Like, I loved it so much that I found in the back here at the end, they list a couple other books by her. And I actually put these on my Amazon wish list in my cart. They're both Christmas stories. They're not the same, and they're not about these same characters. This was a completely separate story. But I like the synopsis on the stories on these other couple ones as well. So I definitely wanted to read more from her, Courtney Cole. She was a really great storyteller. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can really share without going too deeply into this story. Oh, and one thing I will tell you, because I'm paging through here and it reminded me. So, and this is something I'd never experienced with an author before. So the way it starts out is the beginning, they're together. So then the next thing that happens is the book breaks up in chapters. So every chapter, it goes from Noel to Jonah. And what it is it's a cohesive story, but basically, like when the book tells us a story from like an I person perspective, so it's like, you know, when it says I this and I saw this and I said this, it's from Noel's perspective. Then it'll flip over, and sometimes either in that same scene or a continuation of the scene that you were just reading, it flips over to Jonah's first person I type of perspective, where he's saying I saw this and I did this and I talked to who. So that was really different for me. I'd not ever, like, I've read books where the chapters will completely flip to a different character or a different part in the story, but this was really cool. It was cool, but also I will say it was a little bit confusing, because when I'm reading it and it's saying I this and it's talking about the first person, I'm like, wait a minute, who is this? Is this Jonah or is this Noel? Sometimes I had to flip back to the beginning of the chapter to remember who I was whose first person story it was about. But I did enjoy that, and I thought that was a really cool way to kind of break up the story like that, to constantly have that I perspective, first person perspective from each of the characters. So it was pretty cool. I liked it. So I would definitely recommend this. Anybody who's looking for a Hallmark movie kind of feels, a love story, a time traveling make-a-wish kind of story, and a Christmas portion, that's all wrapped up in one in this book. So A Wish for Christmas, 5 stars. If you're interested, definitely go out and pick this up. I absolutely loved it. So thank you so much for listening to my synopsis. If you've read this book, please let me know in the comments, or let me know if you're interested in picking it up now after hearing my, my recap and my synopsis about it. Thank you so much. Don't forget to go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.